Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this workshop, TechWomen Driving ICT, Innovation and Collaboration in Central Asia and South Asia. The workshop purpose is to explore collaborative programs that will focus on women and technology and its implications for inclusive and sustainable growth among various players in Central Asia and South Asia. And for our purposes, we are looking at 13 countries: Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. I'm sorry that I did not have time to do a chart of this information, but the important things out of this chart are the figures related to penetration or percent of population. So for example, in Afghanistan, it's only a 12% penetration. And then I think the highest one is Maldives, which is 68.7%. As you can see from the raw data, there is a lot of work to be done in terms of inclusiveness and getting the internet out to those various countries. So for today's agenda, we're going to have an overview of the internet governance framework. We will do country presentations from Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. Tajikistan will be online. Then we'll break up into small group sessions to look at 3 issues related to capacity building. We'll do a report back to the larger group, and then action planning. And as part of the action planning, we have some resource speakers who can speak to us about the possibilities and opportunities that their organizations can provide at the regional level. So in terms of internet governance, what are we talking about? We're talking about 3 things mainly. We're talking about stakeholders, issues, and decision-making processes. Who makes the decisions about the internet in a particular country? It's another more complex chart with regards to what the different issues are, who the different actors are, and where the decision-making rests. So just as a reminder for everybody, some of the issues that we're focusing on are telecom infrastructure, the protocol, standards and services, and content and applications. I'm reviewing this because they'll be important as we talk about capacity building. And then in terms of the decision-making processes, some of them are related to technical decision-making. Some of them are concerned with infrastructure and access, decision-making on public policy issues, and of course, a question of whether or not there is a national internet governance forum. Stakeholders, we are all stakeholders in internet governance. Some of us are with government, some of us are with technical agencies, some of us are with academics, civil society, and I wear my consumer hat as well, a user of technology. So briefly again, those 3 things: issues, stakeholders, and where do the decision-making processes rest in each country. And in addition, the country presentations will focus also on gender policy and practice in technology, and the reason for why we're together, recommendations for a tech women in Central Asia, South Asia, and we just call it CASA for now. So we'll start with the country presentations, but before that, let me just go through the small discussion group sessions so that you can be thinking about which group you want to be with. So discussion group 1 will talk about fostering collaboration among target countries by creating a network of women in technology in CASA. Discussion group 2 will explore capacity building ideas, including online learning that could be done on a collaborative basis in the region. And discussion group 3 explore what technologies could facilitate collaboration among women, for example, a platform for networking, an online repository of resources, and I'm sure you have other examples as well. So that's your sort of, as we multitask, you think about those discussion points as you're listening to the country presentations. So with that, we will start from the bottom of the list with Pakistan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sahar. I work with an organization called Code for Pakistan. I know we have very little time, so I'll run through this quickly. I'll talk a bit about policy and decision-making and some of the work that our organization does, and then Nomana can talk about some other aspects of internet governance. In Pakistan, the primary issue pertaining to internet governance is that of public policy. Often national security and defense concerns can take precedence over the interests of citizens. An example of this is the frequent suspensions of cell service during religious holidays and public events. Moral and religious concerns also affect availability and access of content online, and the most prominent example of this is the YouTube ban, which went on and off, continued for about 8 years, and was just recently lifted earlier this year. People in charge of IT policy are in many instances not from IT backgrounds, so they have a lack of expertise and a limited understanding of internet architecture and other technical concepts. However, the National IT Policy Draft for 2016 was drawn up in consultation with IT professionals, so that's a step in the right direction. Some policies under development are publicly released as drafts, and input is sought and encouraged from stakeholders. However, there's no transparency on how such decisions are actually made in the end. The Prevention of Electronic Crime Bill, which was recently passed and was highly controversial, was an exception. When the act was introduced, it was heavily criticized by civil society actors. And as a result, there was a lengthy public consultation, but eventually feedback from civil society organizations wasn't really taken into account. And the bill was just recently passed. I'll let Nomana talk more about policy and practice, but to provide context, women in Pakistan largely face restrictions in access to tech and the internet due to cultural and societal factors, particularly in rural areas. So there's a huge divide that needs to be bridged in terms of access and digital literacy. Pasha, the Pakistan Association of Software Houses, their president is also a woman, by the way, and she runs Pasha's Tech Incubator as well, has conducted research on the status of women in the IT industry, but there is a need for more comprehensive methodology and more frequent and periodic surveys and research. The last survey was conducted about 4 years ago. Code for Pakistan focuses on tech for civic and social good, and part of our work involves partnering with government departments to improve their service delivery by leveraging technology. In terms of what we do for women in tech, we organize certain events exclusively for women, both students and professionals, to encourage and increase their participation in the tech industry and civic tech space, and to connect them with successful women in IT as role models and mentors. These include a Women in Tech conference. We're organizing an open source tech day for women, and we recently partnered with an organization called Circle Women in their campaign to increase visibility and participation of women in conferences and forums like this locally in Pakistan. Media Matters for Democracy is an organization that we work very closely with on multiple initiatives. They run a gender in tech program, which focuses on capacity building of women journalists and activists in digital security and of women in media for effective use of ICT tools and on countering gender-based abuse online. So to sum up, research into the current state of women in tech and policy reviews from a gendered lens are required before developing a comprehensive strategy for capacity building. One suggestion is to start with a directory or network of organizations, both commercial and non-profit, that engage and work with women in tech at various levels. Advocacy and awareness raising is also necessary to change societal attitudes about women's access to tech. And their participation in the space, and not just focused on women, but entire communities, and the men who hold the decision-making power in our society. A regional network like this would be incredibly helpful in developing methodologies and approaches to such research, and tech is generally a male-dominated field, and a network like this can allow alternate gender discourse to develop and create a regional support network to map and analyze and combat key challenges to gender diversity and inclusion in digital spaces.
Thank you, Seher. Hello, everyone. I'm Numana Suleiman. At the moment, I'm representing Bytes for All Pakistan, which is a pioneering organization back in Pakistan to start the discourse around the digital rights and internet rights with the perspective of human rights and social justice. So the facts which my colleague from Code for Pakistan, Seher, has talked about, I would avoid repetition. So basically, I would be focusing with a little intro what Bytes for All does. So we have a different focus, but on the whole, it's like to curb or to end violence against women, specifically gender-based violence driven by technology, and for the digital safety and capacity building and all that stuff we have been doing. It's basically a research and advocacy organization around all these issues and all these thematic areas. So with regards to the policy thing, there are like quite different things are happening. So Seher talked about the Pakistan electronic crime bills, which is another form. So there have been several reservations from the civil society organization, not only from the organization who are like very much into the digital rights discourse, but also from the organization who are like solely like coming from the human rights perspective as well. So now it is being passed, and some of the concerns were addressed, but there are still a lot of room for improvement in these laws and policies, which can be indiscriminately, those can be used to curb freedom of expression and opinion or association or assembly. So there is a dire need to have a review on that. Since this discussion is, and this CASA is being revolved around the TechWomen and the issues regarding women are facing there. So back in my country, to be a patriarchy having in this society, so it's like quite different kind of social fabric. Mostly it happens in most of the South Asian countries, I can say. But in my country, it's like the access is there, though there is an advent of 3G and 4G technology, but still the people, not necessarily in the urban areas, but in the rural areas as well specifically, they are like having a kind of remote access. And even when it comes to that point of access, then women are like, they have less access because of that all like norms and societal pressures. So currently, the recent research which Byte for All did regarding the internet landscape in Pakistan, so that shows that there are like almost 30 million users of internet, but of course, women are like less in numbers. So when it comes to the use of internet, so first they don't have that kind of infrastructure. So you don't have that facility. Even if they have that facility, so there is a need of capacity building as well, so how they can use internet safely. Because there is a lot of cases and things we have seen which were basically the violence against women using the technology as well. So there is a report which we did 2 years back, technology-driven violence against women, which you can again find on our website. So there were several case studies we did, and sometimes, you know, if you are uploading your pictures, if you are like sharing your views, so being a woman, it's easy to, you are being to give a like kind of shut up call or being harassed or abused, but it happens in different genders as well. So gender equality comes to in question then. So it's not like that all the like genders or people from different sexual orientation or stuff like that, they are equal. And then when it comes to the women, and then if we narrow it down to the minority women, then they have a double jeopardy. Happen to be a woman in that male-dominated society, and then happen to be from a minority faith. So there is a different story for them as well. So, and even the minority communities like whether they are on the basis of their language or culture or ethnicity. So there is a difference how they deal with all these challenges there, which are being brought not by, like only because of the de facto situation there, but because of the de jure situation as well. So therefore, it's like we see it's a good thing, an opportunity that we can like move forward by building this kind of network and learning from each other how we can better address all these issues and get them resolved, so we can have a peaceful word in the technology arena as well, so having the rights online and offline as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Afghanistan. Please introduce yourself.
I have my presentation there. In there.
Can I have some technical support?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Maria. Can I use this? Can I use this? Okay. My name is Omar Mansour Ansari. I'm president of a company called TechNation, based in Kabul. We do technology development, startup support, community technology, and some policy advisement. One of our programs is called TechWomen Afghanistan, which is a network of diverse stakeholders. It's a women-led and women-focused initiative helping bring together women with technology background together so they can support each other through different activities, as well as to support other women who are not in technology by providing them with computer literacy programs, awareness on technology, and different other issues. Our presentation, I'll be co-presenting with my colleague Shabana Mansouri. It's got two parts. One is an overview of Afghanistan, and the presentation is called Afghanistan plus Tech Women. So I'm going to be doing Afghanistan, and she's going to be doing the Tech Women part. I'll be giving you like a general overview of how the situation related to technology, access, and telecoms, ICTs is in Afghanistan. And then we'll go to Shabana and hear from her about what the status of Tech Women is and how they're dealing with the situation and what the activities and all are. Okay, so let's go to, this is, can you go back? Just about this picture, this is our Tech Women Summit last year, where we brought together about 250 women in technology in Kabul. It was a big summit. It was opened by, chaired by the First Lady of Afghanistan. We had cabinet members, people from the industry, leaders, the government of Afghanistan, and civil society. The major issues we discussed here were how we can promote and support women in technology in Afghanistan. So let's go to the next slide. Just in order for the people who do not know where Afghanistan is located, this is the map. Yeah, you see, I'm sure you know, but still, when we say CASA, the Central Asia, South Asia, you see above Afghanistan, this whole Central Asia, and below Afghanistan is South Asia. And on the left side, you will see Middle East. On the right side, you will see China, which by itself is a region, right? Afghanistan is kind of in the middle of these 3-4 regions. Sometimes we are considered as part of Central Asia, like if you see the UNESCO documents, you will see Afghanistan as part of Central Asia. But when you see the World Bank, some US government and others, you will see it as part of the South Asia. And we are a member of this South Asian Pact, forgot the name of SARC, yeah. We're a member of, yes, we're a member of that. But when you see the ICANN documents, they put us in the Middle East. So it's quite confusing sometimes. And CASA is South Asia, Central Asia, and the reason Maria and I thought about doing a CASA thing was that Central Asia has been in isolation for years, including Afghanistan, because of war and invasions and, not being able to connect with the rest of the world. South Asia, compared to Central Asia, has like more access to education, to opportunities, to the resources. So in order for us to transfer the knowledge from South Asia and technologies from South Asia to Central Asia, we thought it will be good to bring these two sub-regions together so they can collaborate. Okay, so about Afghanistan. There are a few things I wanted to share with you. The technology infrastructure, we have a Deputy Minister of Information Communication Technologies here, Honorable Wahab Sadat, who might intervene later on when we come to the resource person's discussion. And we have two other very informative personnel from the Ministry of Communications and IT here. They might talk more about what the situation is and how they are planning in the future. But this is just an overview. Voice and data, when it comes to the voice and data infrastructure, there are technologies used like satellite. We have an Afghan Sat and then WiMAX, MNOs, GSM and CDMA operators. We have landline and 3G connections. There is a national data center and a CERT operations center, which is a center for cyber emergency response team, which basically deals with the cybersecurity issues. One of the biggest assets Afghanistan has, I'm going to go back to the map slide, is the optical fiber ring. Can you go back to the map? When you see the map of Afghanistan, there is a ring, optical fiber ring within Afghanistan that connects the major provinces with each other, and then the other provinces are linked to the main optical fiber ring. And then it's connected in the north with Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, and in the south with Iran, and in the east with east and south with Pakistan in two locations. One is Torham on the Diran line, and the other is Spin Boldak. And we are connecting with China very soon. So that provides like the only hub in the region, which would contribute a lot to the regional collaboration when it comes to the data flows and a lot of other collaboration in the information communication technologies. In terms of access, so we have over 24 million subscribers. The total population of Afghanistan is about 30 million. GSM active subscribers include 18.5 million. 3G subscribers are about 18K, and population coverage is about 89%. That's both voice and data. Internet users, that's very low. About 500,000. Investment in total in the past 15 years is about 2.2 billion US dollars. The figures are as of from the September 2015. I couldn't find the latest figures on the ministry's website or other source, but I'm sure the figures have changed and improved, especially with the rollout of the fiber in certain provinces, as well as the 3G expansion across Afghanistan. We have one major problem, which I discussed this yesterday as well, and that's the cost of internet, which really limits our access to not only the internet, but so many other resources like education, business development, and social development. Internet in Afghanistan costs $300 US per Mbps connection. That's for redundant connection. And redundant means When there is a fiber cut, you will have a backup, which doesn't happen all the time. I had like 5 hours, I have a redundant connection, like the contract says it's redundant. But there was like 4 hours we didn't have internet. I called this ISP. I told them, hey, what's going on? They said, there is a fiber cut. I said, we have a redundant connection. What does that mean? He goes, but get me internet from satellite or somewhere else. I mean, that's your job. But they were saying, no, there's no option. So the redundant still has a problem. It doesn't mean you will get 99.9% of a connection. But for non-redundant is 150, which means you could have, you could not have internet for weeks or something. Fiber to home, that's another big issue. Although we have that biggest asset of being the hub in the region when it comes to the fibering, but if you want to bring fiber to home, there are additional costs. The $150 to $300, that's a monthly subscription fee for 1 Mbps connection. If you want to get a 10 Mbps connection, then you would need to multiply that figure by 10. Plus their monthly maintenance fee, which is $550. And there's one-time installation cost, which is from $2,000 to $30,000, depending how far you are from the main fiber cable. Other challenges include availability in certain areas, security issues. Engineers cannot go to maintain the fiber in other infrastructure, and investment of the private sector because of lack of security and stability in certain areas. The policy process includes, time's up. Okay, so this is the policy process. I'll quickly wrap it up and then pass it on. With laws, MCIT, which is the lead, and when it comes to technologies, they draft laws, and then Parliament has to approve it. For the policies, MCIT drafts it, and Cabinet approves it, and regulations are done directly by the Ministry of Communications in IT. Sometimes they bring consultants to do the policy formulation for them who do not understand the local needs. They're not aware of the issues and challenges. That's one major, and that's why sometimes the policies cannot address issues locally. But it's improving. They're trying to do some open consultations. Human resources, one of our biggest challenge. We do not have the capacity or expertise in certain areas that is required, especially in when it comes to the public policy and regulatory issues. Stakeholders involved are diverse. This is the list, which I can share with you later on. But there are like a few big projects which are really contributing to the ICT sector development in Afghanistan. There's a $50 million World Bank funded project called ICT sector development. It's divided into different smaller components, which is like business incubators, policy development, trainings, and different other areas. Digital CASA, Digital Central Asia, South Asia is another World Bank project. That's like a cable coming from the Central Asia and going to the South Asia to connect the region together. More details, USAID Promote, that's a $216 million project, the biggest in the US government's history, that's helping empower women across Afghanistan. AFRIN, another NATO project. With gender overview, the total population of women constitutes 48.46%. Female literacy is 24.2%. Primary in secondary enrollment is 3 million now. It was very low in 2001 and 2. Public university enrollment is 62K across for women. And women life expectancy is 64 years. Thank you, and gracias.
Hello everyone, this is Shabana. I work for TechWomen Afghanistan, at the same time having two hats here, TechWomen and also ISOC Afghanistan in this year IGF. So continuing to the sharings of my colleague Mr. Ansari, without any doubt, information technology has been one of the leading drivers of development, economic growth and globalization. Afghanistan is having a fast-growing ICT industry in past 15 years of development, and also a new generation of technology-aware Afghans, an increasing group of entrepreneurs in technology. Fortunately, women are playing an increasing role in participation and contribution in this growth. Among the 30 million population, 20 million have access to mobile technology, where 48% of the population are women and 80% women have access to the basic mobile technology. This basic digital literacy access has given them the voice for local, international, and also regional conversations. Participation in ICT growth in the country in past 1 decade has been positive and increasing annually by both male and, importantly, by females. After many years of efforts and the official launch of TechWomen Afghanistan in 2013, 3 years from now, through public awareness and media presence efforts, thousands of women are given the opportunity of awareness, invitation, and encouragement for participation and contribution to digital literacy, as well as the importance and advantages of digital literacy in their lives. Hundreds of women are supported and encouraged for pursuing career in technology, since many women lose interest having career in technology even after having education and degree in ICT. Tens of women are recently given the support, encouragement, and capacity building to take participation in the innovation and entrepreneurship related activities and events. Fortunately, women participation, innovation, and entrepreneurship program have given TechWomen a positive and considerable result. Many of the winners and champions of competitions in IT in the country have been female just recently. And the major issues which was addressed were corruption, harassment, and education. We without doubt consider these achievements and contributions as a key role player in the creating of hope for Afghanistan, bringing peace through innovation and establishment of businesses in ICT, and a mainstream in economic growth of the nation and a contribution to global internet governance. Saying these all, yet there are many fundamental and significant challenges, if not addressed, might result to a treat to the past year achievements. One of those challenges are having not a strong government policy on gender and ICT, lack of capacity building programs, support and encouragement through joint efforts, lack of connectivity and support through regional and international efforts for capacity building, technical support, as well as financial support for the initiatives recently. Not any intention and initiatives nationally and globally in Afghanistan as a joint efforts for supporting current initiatives and leading to development, as well as for sustainability of the initiatives and the achievements. I hope through today's discussion we come out with some of the ideas to address these challenges, and especially for having connectivity regionally and internationally to Afghanistan for supporting the initiatives in area of women in ICT through capacity building trainings and collaborative efforts, and also through the joint efforts. Yeah, thank you.
Our speaker from India got delayed at some airport. So we have asked Ambassador Latha Reddy, who has kindly agreed to give us some information about India.
let me begin by saying you're not going to get a structured presentation from me because I was asked to make this presentation 5 minutes ago. But it's a cause that's dear to my heart to bring more women into technology issues. Let me tell you briefly my background. I was a diplomat for 36 years. I was the Deputy National Security Advisor of India. And part of my responsibilities as the Deputy National Security Advisor was to work on cybersecurity policies and cyberspace issues in India and on internet governance issues. So I can claim to have some expertise in the general area of how internet governance and cyber issues are looked at in India. And so I'm going to, perhaps as Omar did, talk a little bit about the general situation in India and then talk a little bit about the women's situation in technology. You know, as far as India is concerned, where the technical governance or important issues relating to internet governance are concerned in India, obviously the government plays a big role because we do have a separate information technology. Yes? You want me closer? Okay, it was echoing a bit. We do have a separate information technology ministry in the government. We've had that for a long time now. We passed the Information Technology Act in 2000, which was amended in 2008. There is a separate telecom department, which earlier was part of the IT ministry, but is now a separate ministry. And what we discovered when we started looking at the issues of internet governance and how we should be looking at internet issues in general was that several other ministries had a very key role to play. For instance, when you look at information security or cyber security, it becomes an issue of national security and of internal security. So obviously the Home Ministry or the Interior Ministry, as it may be called in many other countries, has a crucial role to play. Similarly, if you look at cyber crime or cyber terror issues or use of cyber for terrorism, these issues would also be dealt with by the Home Ministry. The Foreign Ministry would be involved in international negotiations on internet governance, as well as on the development of some norms on which discussions could take place in the UN and other bodies. You also have specialized agencies. We have set up an agency called the National Center for Critical Information Infrastructure Protection. And that means the key sectors which would vitally affect the economy and well-being of a country are defined as critical information infrastructures. So, for instance, it could be roads, it could be power, it could be the banking and financial systems, it could be airports, it could be the entire transport sector, and it could be sensitive installations such as in defense, nuclear, space installations. If your satellite systems are disrupted, that can cause unimaginable havoc in the connected world of today. Also, the Commerce Ministry gets involved because there are certain WTO trade and other issues which get affected by the internet. So the first task was really to build a kind of an architecture within the government to make sure everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing and that they did do it without too many overlaps and gaps. Believe me, in government you can never avoid overlaps and gaps, but the idea would be to reduce it to the minimum possible. The second job was to write an actual cybersecurity policy for the country, which we did in 2013. We were only the third country in the world to publish a cybersecurity policy. And we set up a joint working group on public-private partnership in cyberspace, which was to say that the government couldn't do it alone, the private sector couldn't do it alone, so we had to work together in order to develop the internet in our country. Now, India is a paradox because at the same time, we have the second largest number of connected people in the world on the internet. The last figure that was put out by the Minister for IT in September this year was that we had 400 million people online in India. Given the fact that India's population is 1.3 billion, we still have a huge number, hundreds of millions, to get online. So it's a peculiar situation where the second largest connected country after China. We've now overtaken the US in terms of numbers of internet connections. But we are the largest number of unconnected people in the world because of India's immense size. So it's a dual challenge, you know. You're trying to find a place at the high table to take part in international decisions and negotiations because you feel you are a major IT user and a major country of the future to be a major IT decision maker, really. But at the same time, you have to look at it from the point of view of a developing country, of how are you going to get hundreds of millions of people online, many of who are illiterate and who have special language needs because you need diversity in languages. Because many people do not speak English fluently and the majority of the material available on the internet is in English. So I was given some general guidelines by Omar and Maya just now about what are the decision-making processes within government. I think I've given you a broad idea of the government departments and so on who would be involved. We do have a National Security Council that would talk about these issues. We have a cabinet committee on security that would talk about issues like cybersecurity and so on. Internet governance largely has been coordinated between the Foreign Ministry as the main negotiator and the Ministry for Information Technology. And they are both on the same page. India, after wavering for some time, has come out clearly on the side of a multi-stakeholder system of internet governance. But they have also very clearly stated that it cannot be the old definition of multi-stakeholder, but that you have to have a more democratic, inclusive, multi-stakeholder arrangement where the new emerging economies, which are really going to dominate the use of the internet in the future, for example, China or India, must have more of a say in how the internet is going to be run or how important decisions are taken. Infrastructure is a big issue. Omar, you mentioned the question of optic fiber networks. Last mile connectivity is an issue, but I've been hearing some very interesting things from technical companies about the possibility that low-flying satellites could be used to overcome the problems of hilly terrain. I know Google has been doing work with balloons, you know, for the same reason. But they have, that cost has to come down, because if the cost doesn't come down, it would still be cheaper to give optic fiber. But I'm told that the cost is coming down to where the cost of developing infrastructures using alternative methods is going to be better. I think as far as on public policy issues, we have a very healthy and vociferous civil society in India who make their views known, and which is as it should be. I find the system has become far more democratic in engaging with industry and in engaging with civil society. We see that, for instance, the cybersecurity policy was put on the internet, it was put on the web, and people were asked to give their comments. The same thing with the telecom policy. Right now, an encryption policy is under consideration, and when there was a great objection to the encryption policy, it was actually withdrawn by the government. So you can see that there's a give and take between civil society, industry, and government. And how much time do I have, Maya?
I think
Wrap up, okay. So let me then turn now to the question of women and technology in India. You know, obviously, as with all developing countries, women are not present in the numbers they should be in the connected world. In fact, a survey done showed worldwide that the vast majority of those who are not connected are more likely to be female, from a rural background, not educated, and that's as true in India as anywhere else. But we do have some shining stars. We have women heading CEOs, heading some big companies. We have people who are working in institutes like the Anita Borg Institute. Geeta Kannan is doing an exemplary job on in trying to attract more women to take up technology courses and work in technology. And we have some very prominent figures who are very frequently seen in forums like this. Mahima Kaul, who's heading the Twitter government policy in India. We have Anki Das, who's heading Facebook in India. And we have Asha Hemrajani, who's with ICANN. So, we have journalists, we have experts, and people who sort of devoted some time and attention to these issues, such as myself, women. But by and large, it's the exception rather than the rule. So I would completely endorse, and I'd be happy to engage with your group in seeing how we could build a group for Central Asia and South Asia and try to come up with some concrete recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We're also missing our Kyrgyzstan participants, so we're going to hear from Zura, who is from Tajikistan but will be logging in from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Do we have Zura? She has been texting me on the side. Yeah, I think she couldn't hear us, but if we catch her sometime, we will do that. But for now, I think what we'll do is we'll go to our small group discussions. Remember, there were 3 questions: fostering collaboration, exploring capacity building, and exploring what kinds of technologies. So to make it easy, we could just say, this will be from here to there. Raise your hand, please, with the stripes. The shirt. Yeah, that will be group 1. And then group 2 from you to the U to yes. And this will be group 3. Now, as you try to, just... No. All right, if you want to move to a different group, that's fine. But please stay within the topic so we can have as many specific ideas regarding to that topic. So group 1 is going to do collaboration. Group 2 will do capacity building, and group 3 will do technologies. And as you discuss, please also try to see if you can figure out what should be kept national and what can go regional. And please also assign a rapporteur who would report back to the large group. We will give you... You come with suggestions. And we'll give you 15 minutes. Capacity building. If you really want to move around, you feel free to do so, but for the purposes of the streaming, they will just do one of the groups, right?
Can I give you the microphone? This is for streaming purposes. We can hear it here, but it will be, your audio will be available online.
Okay.
So,
Should I say it again? Should I say what I just said again, or it's fine?
No.
Okay. Okay. So in the second program, we introduced women entrepreneurs to the telecom companies, and we said, okay, why don't you help them in establishing their businesses from home? Okay.
I think that's smart. Maybe we should go over there.
Are you taking care of that? Yeah, this is mine. Yeah, okay.
Čizastak. Ne, prič govoriš?
Oh, yeah. You have to start all over again.
All over? Okay.
No, no, no. No, we're good, right?
Okay, so I'm the chairman of the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority. We are the regulator of the telecom sector. So beside regulating the sector, since we interact with the ICT industry a lot, so we have decided that we will work on different projects, like we are working on persons with disabilities, and we are also working for women empowerment, especially the training programs. So the first training program that I just mentioned was that we, along with some private sector, provided mobile application training for teachers who are teaching in the local universities in the regions. We got them together to the federal capital, provided training to them, and now they are delivering those trainings from in those universities. So that's one program that we did. And the second case, you see, we have to look at the culture that we live in. So there are many women who are just staying at home, but now with broadband connectivity, they can actually work from home, they can start their businesses from home. So there is a group of women entrepreneurs. We provided them our platform, and they talked to the telecom companies for having for broadband connectivity for women entrepreneurs in their homes. So that's the second program that we did. The third one is not really capacity building, but it's a service. Basically, there is a group of doctors who are establishing e-clinics in the villages for female patients. Because again, it's a cultural thing, and we don't have enough female doctors in the villages. So they are providing these, establishing these clinics. And the fourth one is we are working on a center that will actually provide, that's called the Women Entrepreneurship Center. So we are, that will be done with the help of the private sector. So it's a government initiative, but the private sector will implement them.
Bueno. And program, youth program is a course on introduction internet governance, and Fritz and next year, and America Latina and Caribbean, and this year, and expecting and global is America Latina and Caribbean, Europa, Asia, etc., etc. This program is introducing and thing. Security, privacy, introducing governance, internet, and rights, etc. The best, the program is a travel say IGF. It's an opportunity the woman young and learn and participate and this thing.
It's the youth program for the IGF.
Yes, it's actuality is a 16. This year is a 16-3 young. It's America Latina, Asia, French, Brazil. In next year is a 78 and some American Latina.
I'm from a Global South organization called CREA, and one of our partners that we work with is called Tactical Tech. And Tactical Tech, they are a collective of feminist tech activists who bring capacity building in the form of security trainings. So looking at technology, encryption, assessing your own risks from the perspective of human rights defenders, specifically LGBTI and sexual rights activists. So it's both a combination of really practical trainings, but also looking at how online violence and offline violence is not really a binary, but for many people working in places that have restrictive laws, it's much more fluid. So,
Which country is it?
they do regional trainings. I am from India, representing, yeah. But Tactical Tech is not. Tactical Tech is, yeah.
I have two questions for you. Could you repeat the name of the organization that's doing this work? And then my second question, how do you help them develop skills to defend themselves online? Are you teaching them how to use encryption technology? So I'll have you elaborate on that.
So the organization is Tactical Tech, and maybe you can also fill in more if you know about Tactical Tech, or?
Yeah, I do know that.
Okay, yeah. Sorry? Tactical Tech, yeah. But my organization is called CREA, and we are working closely with them in terms of improving or collaborating on more of the sexual rights and gender aspects of it, because we are also a capacity building organization, and one of the reasons we're at IGF is because we want more cross-movement, cross-sectoral understanding. So the internet governance is still sort of a new space for a lot of women's rights activists, but since it's so open, I think it's important for us to get involved now so we can also affect the discourse, right?
What are the sexual and reproductive rights projects you do online?
So online, we have a lot of offline capacity building, but one of our online ones is called the Disability and Sexuality Rights Institute. Disability and Sexual Rights Institute. So this is targeting women with disabilities, people with disabilities who want to organize more in the women's rights space. And it's an entirely online course because unfortunately, currently, we can't provide all of the access that we should provide, but this is one of the things that we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Most of our capacity building programs are offline. So as I mentioned before, we encourage most of the women in tech members in Afghanistan for innovation entrepreneurship. We provide them with some of the trainings and orientation workshops for the innovation programs which are running in the country in order to encourage them to participate. Recently we talked about a joint program with Pakistan to have a exchange program or visiting program from the nearest country, which is Pakistan, to send some of the TechWomen members in order to visit, and learn from the activities that TechWomen do there. And also we talked about some of the mobile app trainings that Dr. Shah just mentioned, or to bring the trainers to give TUT for some of the members, and then those members give trainings to others. And we also recently, since I'm also in ISAC Afghanistan, we recently talked about the school on internet governance. We recently started on establishment of internet governance school in order to train school, secondary, high school, and as well university students on the basic courses of internet governance. We just recently raised this issue, and we are some steps in order to have collaboration and also some kind of like approvals from the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology. And we also provide some of the leadership, specialized leadership and managerial trainings for women in tech in order to like encourage them and also support them to use ICT. And also the other two needed skills, leadership and managerial, to establish like businesses.
I'm glad you said that. I'm from the IEEE, and we have a Women in Engineering affinity group. We actually have hundreds of them around the world. And one of the focal areas of that is actually working with women to teach them the leadership skills. Because, you know, there is the technical aspect of understanding how to use technology, to get inspired, to get involved in ICT and technology, to be engineers and scientists. But then there's also, if you want to call it the business aspect of it. You know, if you from the entrepreneurship ability, the leadership abilities, and creating local communities around those issues as well is also critical to the issue. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you, sorry. We just have like the activities of Founder Institute is also like started to work in Afghanistan. We have also like introduced some of the TechWomen members to Founder Institute in order to take their courses for like establishing businesses and business-related trainings they take from that. And as I think personally, because whenever I have been for exchange or program or here in IGF, you can learn like better and you see what like internet governance, what these things mean. So I think that for these exchange programs, visiting programs, like can be very useful, despite the other offline trainings you gave or online trainings, because there you see sunset. Okay, so who's going to like use reference report? I've been writing notes. I'm happy with it. Okay.
There is one other program which I believe is quite important. Like in Pakistan, we have till the 5th grade, the boys and girls are together. But from 6th to the 12th grade, then there are separate schools. So we have a program where we go to especially the girls' schools, and we tell them how to use the internet in a safe manner. Like, for example, let's say if they're using Facebook, what are the different privacy settings and all those other things that they need to be careful about. That's one thing. The other thing that we do is that after the 12th grade, we encourage them to come to the ICT sector because we have fewer girls. My daughter is also doing her computer science degree. She's an undergrad, first year at one of the universities there. So we're trying to bring in more girls to this ICT. So that's the second objective. The first is to tell them how to be safe on the internet, and secondly to come to this ICT areas. So that's, I mean, that's kind of capacity building, but in the long term.
Personally, I come from Kenya, and I'm a student doing engineering, and one of the problems that we really do have when it comes to women in technology and ICT, we try as much as possible and get women and girls on board. There are so many initiatives on the same, but the question always remains, how many of them still remain in the same industry? You find we have, back in Kenya, we do have quite a number of initiatives in trying to encourage women and girls to join the ICT field. But you realize that after the university education, most of them don't really go into the industry. And that is where we have the problem. So we should not only look at, come up with initiatives of encouraging, but also come up with initiatives of maintaining them in the same field, which is really something that is lacking currently.
Okay. We'd like to get back to the big group. Your small group challenge was to come up with some suggestions. We're not interested in problems and challenges. We're interested in, time's up. We just want suggestions and recommendations. Okay, each group will have about 2 to 3 minutes to provide the highlights. It doesn't have to be everything that you discussed in your small group. Shall we start with group 2?
Thank you. I'm Brandy Noneke from Citrus at UC Berkeley. In group 2, we were charged with answering the question of exploring capacity building, including online learning that could be done on a collaborative basis in the region. In our group, what I found interesting about our discussion was that we didn't just focus on technology capacity building, but capacity building around the technology. So looking at training in online safety. Also, I think this is a critical issue, especially when we're engaging young women and girls in technology, thinking about retention in the field and building a culture of acceptance in the professional workforce of having women in technology and making sure that those workplaces are inclusive and welcoming. And then also around leadership skills, which is incredibly important for women, even in discussions here, making sure women speak out. We had specific examples using a train-the-trainer model in Pakistan where you trained women in how to develop apps and then they go on and train other women. One that I thought was very interesting in Pakistan was connecting women entrepreneurs with tech companies to enable them to have mobile broadband in the home so that they could engage in their business from their home. And then also, I think that we should all be acknowledging what the Internet Governance Forum has done at promoting capacity building among youth and women, and actually having an Internet governance course. I think that's it, unless someone else from the group would like to add anything. No? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Qasim Nasimi from Afghanistan Telecom Regulatory Authority. I was the rapporteur for the discussion group to foster collaboration on women network. Though there are lots of challenges in fostering the collaboration, budgetary, cultural, there is less awareness and capacity building. Some suggestion which came out of the discussion was first to identify organizations in each country which are working and engaging with women activities in technology. And the next is to do some research and provide or pave the way for them for some capacity buildings through the fellowship programs of different technology summits, for example, ICANN, EPINIC, or GSMA. After that, in these conferences will pave a way to connect each region or each country with another country and then do some technical exchange, which will pave some common ground for them to find the networks and work, foster the collaboration for capacity building and make a better network. The time was very limited and lots of ideas, so we can just report it this much out of it.
Thank you. Those who still have ideas coming out of their heads and brains, feel free to send emails to myself or Omar during this IGF or even after. Group 3?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mignon Kleiber, and I'm being bossed by Omar, bossed around by Omar today, so I'll be presenting with Catherine. We had a group 3 is a group of 3. I'm going to take names today, but we're coming up with a concept that the name is not necessarily novel, the concept is not necessarily novel, but we think is necessary. So what we are proposing is something that we'll just in short call the Hive. Now, the Hive would be a resource hub or ecosystem where women in this region that are interested and want to gain more from the technology space will be able to post and join events, have access to educational resources that would be uploaded and populated by those potential members. Educational resources would be on this particular site. They would be able to connect. Well, let me back up and say, the one thing that we thought and know there was going to be a challenge is how do we find a common platform, a common denominator? Because again, ours is exploring what technologies could further facilitate collaboration among women. And so the common platforms, plural, would be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and others, where a lot of individuals use, but have this Hive be sort of its own ever-evolving ecosystem where women would have the support that they need, the resources posted, and the like. And so this would be multi-purpose, multi-dimensional, ever-changing, ever-evolving, but again, using those common platform, social media platforms and whatever physical platforms would be easily adopted for this to be not just an educational, but an informational and support hub for women in Central and in South Asia.
I like the name, the Hive. The queen bee? Exactly. Okay, so now we turn it over to some of our resource speakers. 2 to 3 minutes each. Just let us know if we're in the right track with regards to establishing a capacity building network for women and by women in the region. I've written the names alphabetically. I don't see Marilyn here. Sylvia is here, so.
Hello, my name is Silvia Cadena. I work with APNIC Foundation. I'm the head of programs there. APNIC is the regional internet registry. We allocate IP addresses and we provide a lot of capacity building for network engineers to set up ISPs and IXPs and mobile networks across the region. We cover from Afghanistan to the Pacific, so we cover 56 economies. We do have a fellowship program that encourages women to participate, and we pitch funding from donors and other agencies to provide capacity building for women that are women engineers that are able to build the network that they want to use for their daughters and their mothers and the other women out there. So I think that for such a platform to exist is not only about underestimating the technical capacity that women have, but also that there are many women that are very technically able and willing to enroll and participate in volunteer time to these kinds of initiatives. And it's very important that you keep an eye on those network engineers in the region. That will be a good base in which to build the platform. There are lots and lots and lots of capacity building materials in the region available already, most of them available free of charge. We do have our own share of those training materials. The big problem that we have is that most capacity building efforts are not necessarily done in a local language, so translation is complicated, and collaboration, as I was mentioning in the small group that we're working, is a wonderful word, but it's very expensive, not only in money, but it's expensive in terms of time and effort, and just to find that common ground that you need to be able to make the commitment to work with someone across the world that might be, you know, that you share, I don't know, a corner of an angle of something and not someone that is really directly linked to the work you do. So it's important that you set up expectations about what that collaboration actually looks like in terms of times, commitment, and then, you know, conference calls, things like that kind of rotate. So everybody has to wake up early once, I don't know, 3 months, but not every time. I'm based in Australia, and that rotation is great because sometimes we are at, it will be impossible for me to join every single conference call at 3 in the morning. So I'm glad that my colleagues in Los Angeles sometimes decide to just, okay, I will wake up really early and you can have a normal day at the office. So it's about being considerate with others, and it's about acknowledging what it already exists in the region. So do your mapping, very good mapping of what is out there, and try to look for the network engineers that are actually building the network. There are plenty of women out there, many from the countries that you have mentioned. We covered Afghanistan and some of the countries on CASA, but RIPE NCC covers the others. So I mean, the REERs will be able to support you in that respect, at least on the technical side.
Can we have Joe?
Sure, thank you very much. My name is Joe Gattuso. Thank you for inviting me. I'm with the United States Department of Commerce Commercial Law Development Program. 10 seconds of my 2 minutes, I just wanted to say I find it very interesting and almost ironic that the word CASA is well known in Central Asia, South Asia to mean the collaboration, but yet we're in Mexico and it means something quite different. And enjoy your house. And there must be some sort of ironic statement to make, but we don't have time to delve to think about the houses. I've been thinking about how the work that we do at CLDP relates to what we've been talking about, and throughout the course of the session, I found that I think there are a lot of parallels. I should put the caution that I have a limited view. I work for a very small office that does development work, technical assistance to countries around the world, and because we're small and because we're legally focused, we know we don't have all the solutions and do all the projects, but perhaps that we can get some examples from the types of things we do. And in that context, we do have a number of projects going on in ICT, and currently our largest projects, we're funded country by country, are in Afghanistan, in Pakistan. And what we do is, in the ICT world, is try to work on technical assistance that helps grow the sector or that generally affects the investment climate. That gives us in this field a lot of leeway because things that are directly related to, say, connectivity obviously are important. Cybersecurity affects the network and therefore affects investment. Trust in the network, whether a woman feels safe on a social media platform, will affect usage and development. So we're able to get into a lot of different things. And I'm thinking about how we are talking literally at this session about technology and about women. And I think in our work, we're not focused on women exclusively, but this infuses everything we do. So for example, we sometimes advise countries by bring in private sector or government experts who volunteer their time, say, to advise on a cybercrime law. One of the issues might be, how does this law affect women? And that will affect us because that is a policy we watch for. We also do training. We also do workshops. We have it as a policy throughout the United States to include women in our training and capacity building programs. Same for internships and fellowships. We in the past, for example, have made it possible for law students to get internships with Afghan telecommunications firms. Again, there's an opportunity there. And in our small group earlier, we were talking about there being several aspects here. One is the collaboration itself. and it's a challenge. We agreed with the challenge. The other is getting the women, finding the women. I do struggle when I do programs in the region to, in all due respect to the folks who are here who are with me, to find the women candidates to participate in our programs. And if we look at the whole system, whether it starts with education or training, as some of our participants said, they would be available for us to identify. And having organizations that are dedicated for this that I could work with provides an opportunity for me to put my programs to work in that way. So I think that covers it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's go to Karen. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Karen McCabe, and I'm with the IEEE, which is one of the world's largest technical professional associations. We have like 460,000 members around the world. And you know, we're really sort of rooted and grounded in the community approach. So we have technical societies, but within those there are affinity groups and technical communities, and one that we're really proud of is our Women in Engineering affinity group. We actually have 600 of them around the world, including in South and Central Asia, which actually our largest representation of this is in India. And really the focus here is looking at that full life cycle. So it's from technology development and use and teaching skills and among those, but also, and we touched upon it I was in group 2 when we talked about capacity building, is the entrepreneurial skills, the leadership skills. One might look at it as soft skills of that whole ecosystem of ICT and technology and getting women comfortable with it. Another focus of the group is also, of the groups I should say, is getting young girls excited about getting into the ICTs in the engineering fields. You know, that it is, you know, it is a cool field to get into. It's something that we, you know, we really are needing in the world, is to get more young girls and women engaged in ICT from a profession. And a big focus of that, the work in our Women in Engineering affinity groups is to generate that as well. So it's really sort of a local approach where we bring communities together through education, capacity building, networking, to teach these skills along this full spectrum along the way. So I'll end here because I know we're short on time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay. Oh, there you are.
Yes. My name is Lorraine Persiuncula. I work for the OECD, that's the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. We are a forum where governments come to share good practices on common problems, and we deal with several issues ranging from economics, trade, environment, health, education. And today I'll be talking about gender and what we do on gender. In 2013, the OECD adopted a recommendation on gender equality. It recommends members to adopt good practices that promote gender equality through a whole-of-government approach and in cooperation with all the relevant stakeholders. It also instructs the OECD to support the efforts by producing data, analytical studies, and collecting good practices on achieving equality in areas of education, employment, and entrepreneurship. So in other words, what this first recommendation from the OECD in this issue states, it's at least 4 messages. It's that there's no silver bullet solution, that this issue needs to be addressed holistically with the help of the partners across institutions and stakeholder groups. And it also highlights the necessity of data and evidence-based studies. And since this first recommendation, the OECD adopted a new recommendation on gender equality, this time on gender equality in public life. This was in 2015, last year. We also carried out analysis on gender equality in education, climate change, financial education, health, taxation, and science and technology. So having been actively building a substantial body of work in the area, the OECD created a gender portal in 2015 through the OECD Gender Initiative. So our gender portal compiles good practices and analytical tools on gender across all OECD policy work. So examples of that include the GenderNet and our Wiki Gender. On science and technology, we have statistics and model surveys that can help countries to assess the gaps on ICT access and usage by gender, and on the differences in availability of male and female ICT specialists. So for the OECD, it's imperative that we compile data to develop evidence-based policies to monitor the implementation of these good practices. In terms of regional focus, the OECD has regional programs with non-member countries. So we have programs in Latin America and the Caribbean, in Southeast Asia, and in the Middle East and North Africa region. It's one of the regions where we've already implemented projects targeting gender issues. So I invite you all to access our portal. It's OECD.org/gender. And get familiarized with the work that we are doing. And we believe getting to know the data and implementing those model surveys is a key input for you to understand what's missing and what are the bottlenecks to improving gender equality. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We have one more Facebook. And maybe we could just give them the URL later for the video.
Okay, so we'll skip the video.
Yeah.
So quickly, in terms of what Facebook is doing to build capacities of women in the CASA region. So we run this program called She Means Business, which celebrate and support women entrepreneurs across the region through a series of workshops, training sessions, and online resources. The program will arm women entrepreneurs with knowledge, connections, skills, and technology required to build and grow their businesses online. So far, we have trained more than 1,800 women entrepreneurs in India, and we are going to sort of like train more and more women as we increase our programs in the region. In Pakistan, we have recently launched this program in collaboration with Herself, which is an initiative of the Punjab Information Technology Board. So that's the SME prong of it. Another prong of how we sort of build capacities of women entrepreneurs is developer engagement. We innovate through partnerships. We partner with fast-moving startups from around the world to help them test and develop new platform technologies which would benefit developers everywhere. We have worked with top startups from across South Asia, from India's top music app called Savan, to Pakistan's top real estate application called Zameen, to Bangladesh's top traffic app called the Go Traffic. We also have the Facebook platform and also the FB Start program, which sort of works with startups and entrepreneurs and developers to necessarily scale their products. We give them the tools, we give them the mentorship, and get them involved in the process. We've also worked, this is very specific to the work that we are doing in India, we are also working with an organization called K-Start on Startup Girl Challenge, where we partner with this organization to induct 5 women-led startups into the FB Start program. So where we'll sort of give them the mentorship and also the tools to develop. Then we have the developer roundtables and the advisory councils that we do. Our product and engineering team from our headquarters in the Menlo Park have been down to key markets in the South Asia, like India and Pakistan, to listen to first-hand feedback on what are the market challenges and the barriers so that we can design and develop products accordingly. We also have Facebook Developer Circles. It's sort of like a community program where we invite developers to from all backgrounds to raise awareness, solve problems, and create a bridge with our tech teams. I'm really proud of the fact that in Lahore, our developer circle has more than 1,000 developers participate. In Dhaka, we have more than 1,500 developers participate. And lastly, we believe and we live by the principle of open source. Many of the solutions that we use internally at Facebook are available to any startup or developer at code.facebook.com. So everything from building cross-platform applications to compression algorithms are available on this site, and developers are free to use that. There are over 389 open source repos in that site. So.
Okay, may I ask the resource speakers to please email me the text, or I guess we can get it from this discussion as well. But whatever you haven't been able to discuss, please share with us. I'm sorry, I have to wrap up. It sounds like it's a good idea to move with a regional capacity building for CASA, Central Asia and South Asia. And we shall do so by setting clear expectations, beginning with a mapping of what's already there, which organizations are working with women, which women are working with technology, and I guess we also need to be clear in terms of what we as organizations or as individuals can give to the network. And it's not just about getting from the network in terms of this collaboration. It's a reciprocal collaboration among the various players and stakeholders. So if you're interested in learning more about the network and continuing this discussion, please email me, maria.bb@gmail.com, or Omar. You can find our names in the program and so on. Thank you so much. If you want to stay for the video, the Facebook video, we can do so. Is there another organization happening? Okay, sorry, we're out of here. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you so much for all the wonderful ideas.